Action. All right, guys. Welcome to Slates and Koffee podcast. This is our very first episode. Can someone cue in the audience or the clapping sound? Yeah. It's our first episode. And what we are about education, nourishing, and empowering women of color in TV and film. I mean, just that sentence alone, I think is very powerful because we, tend to stereotypically don't have a voice. And it's just not Black women, it's women of all colors, because we all know that Hollywood is a white male dominated industry. But, women are standing up. We're becoming producers and directors and showrunners. So we should also be proud, but there's a lot of us coming up. So we are here to bring up the ones that are in the background, that are afraid to say something. I mean, this is a very powerful industry, very monetary, financially successful industry, which means there's a lot of big, powerful people, and that kind of intimidates women of color,
right.
Those in the background, actresses and producers and writers, kind of timid to really voice. So this is a safe space to open up and to talk about those things that we felt hold us back purposely, being creators. So we can't really curate to our fullest capacity. So we want to, it's not a therapy session, but it kind of is, because I know we're healing at the same time, working in this industry, and I hope that many others could as well. So we are the hosts. I'm Toy Mason, you got Tequoia, and you got Nneka, and here we are, three creators in the film industry, ready to give it. And I think today we want to touch on imposter syndrome. I know for me, for a fact, when I first started, I was working on a court show. Very successful, even still shooting court show. And I remember, I think it was a cameraman, and he dropped a credit card on the floor at lunchtime. And so I looked at it, what's going on? And he was like, are you going to drop down and pick it up? And I'm like 21 at the time. So I'm like, what? And so as I went home, it mentally did something to me. I started questioning myself, like, what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing by being in this industry? Like, is this a norm? Like, should I be quiet? Like, should I say something? But if I do say something, then it's probably my job. I need my job. I'm 21. I'm in college. I need to pay my bills. So what do you guys feel like? Have you ever ran into anything that kind of like thought you felt you was a failure at it and it just stuck to you mentally?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I was managed by one of the largest industry management companies. And my manager, I had her for almost 5 years, if not 5 years. And she worked hard to get me seen by producers and studios, and my work was out there. They were getting eyes on it, but she could not find me work. And out of the blue, email saying that she had to thin out her roster, and I got cut from this very well-known production management company. That hurt. That hurt a lot, because I'm like, I kept in touch with her, and everything that she told me that I needed to do to be seen and heard, I did, and even went above and beyond and made my own connections, and through her got my work out further than I could ever have imagined. But I couldn't find work, and yet I was seeing all of my colleagues getting past. They were getting placed on shows and getting their films funded, and I'm like, here I am. I'm not going anywhere. What is wrong with me? What is wrong with my work? And I had to readjust my thinking. that there's nothing wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with me. It just wasn't my time.
That's
And
strong of you, because I know, like, coming in it, you don't know if it's something really wrong with you, or I don't look like this person, and these people are getting more opportunities than me. So it's something really, did I not get the education that I should have in this industry?
Mm-hmm.
So that was very strong of you.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can look at it, because yeah, we do know that in the industry, men get placed a lot faster and in better positions than women, especially women of color. But at the same time, it's like, okay, I know I had to tell myself I am qualified. I'm really good at what I do. So it's not that. It may be outside forces, but I don't have any control over that.
Yeah.
So what do I have control over? How I think, how I present myself, how I
Respond to it.
respond to it and use my energy. So I just put myself into my own work, being an indie filmmaker, and putting all of my energy and hope into that, and doing it for myself and not relying on Hollywood. And it's gotten me a lot further than being with a major management company ever has. So
Yeah.
I know I had a bit of that well, the first time I really felt it was, I think I was doing a play and I had to speak Spanish, which, you know, I grew up a bit in Texas, so I knew a bit of Spanish. But the worst part was that my other castmates were like native speakers. And that was my first brush with it. I was like, I know the words, I know how to say them, but I'm here with the real deal. So I'm feeling all sorts of like real imposter syndrome. But when I came out to LA and, you know, attempted my career, still growing it now, you know, it was a bit of imposter syndrome and also just a bit of being a Black woman, just getting the throes of being passed over because you're not what they're looking for. Dark skinned at that, you know, I'm not model like. So like I was never really anyone's top choice. And so like you were talking about, Tequoia, I had to pave my own way, had to do my own thing. Me and my friends at first did a bunch of our own projects, you know, web series, which seems to be a lot of people's part of a lot of people's path out here. Like, let's make our own thing. So, you know, we did that. And years later, I was still going through the throes of it. I'm also an introvert, so the whole networking thing didn't really work for me. So it made it even harder. So it got to a place where I said, this is the career I chose. I need to do something. Wrote a pilot, decided to produce it myself. And a lot of cool things came about in doing that. But again, all along the way, I was sitting here like having anxiety because I'm like, I'm about to call and like find, you know, a filmmaker, cinematographer, and do all the parts of literal producer. But, you know, knowing that I'm not an actual producer, I wasn't trained in it. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I was like, I'm gonna do it anyway because no one else is doing anything for me and I'm gonna mess up, maybe do it really well, maybe do it really badly. But I had to bring myself to the plate because at the end of the day, nothing was going to happen. You know, no one's going to root for you harder than yourself. So I was like, let me just do it. Feel major imposter syndrome because at the same time, too, you have to look like you know what you're doing. Because some people, they might still stick around, but a lot of people will be like, oh, she's a fake. So I'm going to go elsewhere. So that was, I guess, an acting job in and of itself. I had to pretend like I knew what I was doing and just, you know,
fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. There we go. There we go.
Yeah. But you know what? When you know, I was coming up back in 2003, the industry was a little bit more different. It felt like the South to me, to be honest with you, because while we struggle with this, it could turn to a mental illness, to be honest with you. When we're dealing with this as colored women, Caucasian women, they don't deal with that type of stuff because I think it's their upbringing. You can kind of sometimes consider the industry as the good old boys club because it's a lot of nepotism and It's kind of like given to them. where not only is it hard for us and we question ourselves of our capability, because we have the same capability as anybody else, it can feel unfair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can. It definitely can. And it can wear your self-esteem down. And I've met several people who have given up and they've decided, yeah, this isn't for me. I'll just get a 9-to-5 and gave up on their dreams. But I believe that those who find their community, find their support system, and stick to it, that you can find success. You just may have to reshift what success means, because if your idea of success is being an A-list actor in a blockbuster film, and that doesn't ever happen, but you've done so many great things in the process, does that mean that you were unsuccessful? No, it doesn't mean that. But if you think that that's what success looks like, then yeah, you can set yourself up for failure.
Right. Absolutely. Well, go ahead.
Oh, my bad. No, I was also going to say, I think it's important too. I think, Tequoia, you touched on it a bit, about how you, I forgot the exact word you used, but essentially how you tackle it. Or no, actually it was Toy. You're saying that, on the flip side, for most white women, it's just kind of how they were raised, that it's something that they didn't go through. I remember when I was learning how to drive, I learned later in life. So, I wasn't like with the community of other people, other teenagers learning how to drive. I was like well into my 20s, super like, oh, let me not crash into anyone. But the thing that actually got me through it in the end, I don't know if it was my mom or just someone online mentioned how like the difference between men and women when they drive. Men usually get into a lot faster because they have more confidence, because that's literally that's how they were raised. That's how they're conditioned. They're like, they go for things. At my internship, they said more men get more business opportunities and internships because they just go for it, even if they're not qualified. And so once I thought about it like that, I'm like, okay, we both have the same, capacity to like, for me learning how to drive. I just needed that confidence and knowing I'm just going to go for it, just like a man does. And I did it. And within a week, I was like already driving all over Alhambra. Was I good at it? That's up for debate, but I was doing it. Didn't crash into anyone. So I think it would also be like important for people to remember. You just have to remember we're all capable, of getting ahead and doing great things, but you just have to push yourself and think, what do they have? They already have that, inbuilt, confidence. They were raised in a society where they're allowed to do these things. You weren't, but you just need to put yourself in their place and be like, let's pretend that I was. What would be open to me, and just go after that.
Absolutely. And I think that was the key word. It's go.
Yeah.
And this is $1 billion industry, which means new levels, new devils. So you're going to get faced a lot of power, a lot of money, a lot of perfectionism, everything. And I think it's just, if we all just focus and don't let the distractions get to us. But
right,
we're going to wrap this up because we got a special guest. Who's our guest today?
Today we have Brittany Mayti. She is an incomparable actress, and you can find her film Workout Partners on Tubi. Yes. So she's here and she's going to help us dissect imposter syndrome.
Yay! Where's Brittany?
Brittany!
Hi!
Hello.
So excited to see you and meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I just talked about Workout Partners, right? That's the name of it, Workout Partners on Tubi.
Yes. Workout Oh, you said you just talked, Workout Partners, and then I just had Locked In was a premiere.
Awesome. So awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Exciting. So we're all talking about the imposter syndrome, and how does that compare to your come up in the industry?
Ooh, I have a lot to say about this. I guess I spent some time in LA I think about 11 years. And when I was kind of just working on student films and just getting a feel from it, coming with a background in theater, I guess I would downplay my achievements before others could, you know? So, and I still find myself guilty of that. I'm like, oh, it's just that, or oh, it's just on here. Like, embarrassed of what somebody else may say, so to save that before someone else can say it. Something else is hard for me to accept compliments. Like, I immediately feel like I have to give one back. So if someone's like, oh, you're beautiful, I'll be like, you're beautiful and I love your shoes. Like, I guess these are all symptoms of imposter syndrome. And I could talk more and more about it, but I just, other things, I guess in the corporate world, like I always feel like I have to silence my Blackness to make my non-Black coworkers feel comfortable. So we have imposter syndrome in the workplace, and there's
we can, but no, really, we can be our worst enemy. Like not your coworker, not your spouse, not anyone. We can be our worst enemy, and if we just have a positive mind frame and just really dive into who we are, we can go for the stars, but we hold ourselves back.
Yeah. I think it's fear. And another person on Instagram, she stated that she had fear of success. And I could relate to that. It's not fear of failure. It's not fear of rejection. Lord knows I've been rejected more times than I can count. I'm used to that. I think for me, there was a fear of success and what that would look like and how I would have to, I guess, how I would handle that. Like, would I go crazy with it? Would I become one of those really stuck up directors that felt like everyone had to cater to them? Or would I remain humble and grateful? Like, and I think that I allowed that fear to limit me in approaching people that could have benefited my career. And I had to shut that voice off, because if you listen to it, you'll become stagnant and you'll never succeed. So
that leads into self-sabotage, because I feel like that too. Like, I feel like there's so many chances I miss because myself as well, but I let other people kind of affect it. Like, say I'm going in, I'll give you guys a great example. I had an ABC diversity callback. So they do like a big showcase. I finally made it. And I was dating. But wait. But I was dating someone terrible. I let them get in my head. It was a domestic violence situation. And I came to the callback with a black eye. Like, I know I can talk about that freely now. So in a way, that was my own self-sabotage because I shouldn't have had that person in my circle. But then when I got there, I was so embarrassed. Like, I had my hair parted over my eye. And, I knew people, I lied, like, oh, I took a kickboxing class, lied about it. And that opportunity, I'm telling you, I auditioned for this 5 years in a row and finally made it to a callback. And that was my self-sabotage. And it was like all these things that happened. Finally, I could say right now, I'm out of that self-sabotagingness. But when you said that hit it on the net, I in myself was sabotaging myself when I came close to success.
My goodness. I mean, we have another topic coming up called self-love. And I always say, as creators, our purpose is creating. If you're an artist, if you brought to this field and you're a creator, it's your purpose, right? And if we can't love ourselves, healing in ourselves, it is hard to create masterpieces. I've been in abusive relationships, right? So if I'm walking on set, I can't clearly be in my directorial mindset because I'm allowing these emotions that I just had 2 hours ago with someone to affect me. Now I can't even clearly think about a scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, we self-sabotage ourselves because we take away the self-care and the self-love from ourselves. All that matters. Like, people don't really talk about, as being an artist, you have to be whole.
Mm-hmm.
Like Basquiat, Michel Basquiat, he created some masterpieces, but when you look at them, they're angry. Like, you can feel the pain because he was going through drug addiction. He was going through abandonment issues. He had a lot of pain. So it's like, is that what we want to do as creators? Do we want to display our pain?
Right.
Or do we want to display like resolutions? Or
you attract how you feel too.
Yeah.
You hit that on the head. Like, if you're going through all that, and especially in this industry, people pick up on that. They pick up on your naivete. They pick up on your vulnerability. And as soon as I left myself 100% whole, that's when my life and everything started to flourish. That's
it. Because you attract now your purpose, your light. Now you can help and heal others, acting and writing and producing. Now you have a bigger purpose. But if you're stuck in that damaged self, you can't really do anything.
Right.
Yeah. I think the other thing to remember too is we kind of touched on it already, like community, who we have around us. Like, a lot more of us are going through this same thing, maybe in different capacities. Like, for us, it's film and TV. For others, it can be whatever industry they're in. But just making sure we check in with each other and hold each other accountable. Because, I mean, there's imposter syndrome, but really a lot of people at the end of the day, even successful people, they also, they don't really know what the hell they're doing. So it's like, we're all going through imposter syndrome at different levels. So just to like make sure, we take care of ourselves and have our priorities in order, and then have people around us that we can trust and can truly rely on. And that's okay if it's a small circle, really. It's probably better that way. And just be able to lean on each other. And hopefully this won't happen, but if you need to like swap people out every once in a while, because sometimes people do change or their priorities change, but just being mindful to maintain ourselves and our mental well-being.
Very, very true. Brittany,
Yeah.
what else have you like been through or discovered in finding yourself in this industry?
That it takes a village to raise an actor.
I love that.
I went to LA at 21 by myself, and I noticed my peers that came out around the same time that their careers were like going faster than mine, or they're booking more than me. Like, they either had their parents funding it, or they had some help, or they had like a manager that was a family friend, or whatever that may be. But it wasn't until a couple years ago where I really got some great people around me that truly believed in me. And it's hard to do stuff on your own. Like, and I'm prideful, and that could be a part, I don't know, a symptom of imposter syndrome, but I was always taught that as a Black woman that I had to work twice as hard. Like, keep your head down, and you have to be the best, and you have to get straight A's in school, and you have to do this. And I was tired. Like, I'm like, God, I need help. And I finally have some help and people that believe in me. And it takes a village to raise an actor.
It does.
You need a team.
Yeah.
Or any of that for that aspect. It's hard to do it all alone. And I wasn't a great delegator, and I felt like I had to do everything on my own. But as soon as I let go and trusted people, it changed my life. And spiritually speaking, when I let go and let God too, that mainly is what helped things go forward, because I would believe, but then it would be like that back of my head, like, you ain't gonna do it. Like, nobody leaves Cleveland, and you know how many people trying to do this, and and maybe that's that voice I heard growing up too, from like teachers and all that. But I finally was like, God, you wouldn't put this on my heart if it wasn't what I'm supposed to do, and how I witnessed how I can make people emote and feel. So here you go, because otherwise I'm back to school to be a lawyer or something. Because
lawyer, doctor, or engineer.
Right.
Only 3 backups.
Right. It's just 3: doctor, lawyer, engineer. That's it.
Engineer.
Yeah.
So how do you, I'm sorry, what were we gonna say, Nneka?
No, I just wanted to say it's also more fun that way too. When you have people along your journey, Because if you're stressed out, you're doing it all by yourself, you look to your left and right and you only have you, you know, even if it's a hard moment, if you have people around you, you can make fun within that moment. And that's something that I know I went through a lot. I was doing a lot of stuff on my own. I grew up kind of independent, somewhat. I mean, dependent, but, you know, mentally independent, I guess. So I came out here with that same attitude and I just never knew how to like reach out to people. And I look back on my past experiences and it's like, I don't even have the best memories because it was just me struggling. Wow. And so you want to make sure to have fun with this life. It's going to be a long, hard journey, but have fun, you know, make friends to help you out, but also have fun with along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you self-advocate, Brittany?
Elaborate on that. Let me just, I wasn't prepared.
Well, okay, so if you have that voice in your head that, you know, even if it's a small voice and is trying to seed doubt in anything that you want to do, or there's a role that you want to go for, how do you ignore that voice and put yourself out there and showcase your talent so that you can be seen and heard?
Oh God, okay. I feel like I've sacrificed so much. I do a lot of reflection. So when I get on myself about that, I like look back at what I've done, or I even save some messages from people like I went to high school with that they'll send me and say how I've helped them or changed them. And I'm like, me? I'm not even where I want to be. Like, what have I done? Like, you know, I'm just so hard on myself. So I look back and reflect. I also say my grandmother's prayers keep me going, because my grandmother made a lot of sacrifices and her dreams were deferred. And I feel like through her legacy, and I'm like, I can't let her down. You know, I fought so hard. I've went to LA while friends back home were buying houses and having families, and I sacrificed so much. So now when I audition, I can look at my tape like I did everything I could. And honestly, I can be honest and say like I wasn't doing that before because I was self-sabotaging. Like I would, okay, you know, like and do it. But now I give everything and absolutely everything my all. And it's been working because by the grace of God, I've been booking like crazy.
Good. Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
It's a lot of struggling actors in California. I mean, they come from distant states, distant lands, you know, hoping and wishing and praying that, you know, they'll land something. And it takes years to really break through. So that was really good advice to give those that are there, that are like, should I even be here? Do I need to go home back to Nutbush, Tennessee? Or should I stay and live out the dream? And the answer is live out the dream. If you can place this on your heart, this is your passion, bust the doors open until they get open. And if they don't bust open, create your own doors.
And that's all I say. The people who make it are the people who don't quit. Simple as that. Like if you quit, then you never know what could have happened. Right. And I tell myself that because it was a lot of times I wanted to quit. So, and I feel like that's normal. But yeah. I never quit. I wanted to quit, but I never quit.
Right.
I can attest. No, I can attest to your self-work. When I said yesterday that you're the best actress I've ever worked with, I am not lying. You put your heart and soul into your films, and what you gave to Lawrence Chimera was you're going to make people cry. You're going to make people feel. And I love working with you. And for any director, producer that's watching this podcast, you have a gem in Brittany. You will not want for anything, I guarantee.
Oh, thank you. It was so hard to even hear you say that, but I really appreciate it. And I'm not just saying it back, but she was my first African-American woman director. And when I tell you, set felt like a hug. Like from the moment, from me being accompanied, like, are you okay? Do you need anything? Like even the other actors, you know how typically, you know, other actors on set, you know, everyone's kind of just focused on themselves for the main part. You're in character. They were like, you're all right. You good? Like, and that was just so, I want to always feel that because it's rare to feel that in this industry. And you really, from the leader on down, you made it feel amazing. So thank you.
Did that help you with your imposter syndrome to make you certify and reiterate that this is your calling and that you are worthy of the success that you've worked hard for?
It really did. Because a lot of times when I get roles, I don't know how the feeling is like, it's almost unbelievable, but this is why too. One instance, I booked a big role and I'm working as an Atlanta local because I'm not there now, but like I have an agent in Atlanta. And what that means for whoever's listening in is you have to pay for your own travel, your own lodging, whatever. They're treating you as if you live in Atlanta. So I booked a role. My agent was like, you got it. I'm like, great. I get there. It's 2 days before my scene. I get the script and my character's nowhere in there. And I'm like, what happened? I'm like, there must have been a mistake. But yeah, they wrote the scene out and I'm already in Atlanta. I booked my flight. I had my hotel. I had my rental car. So, and sometimes I've done projects that never made it to the daylight, or I booked a movie that the scene didn't make it. So I think as actors, I don't know if that's imposter syndrome, but it's fear because you get really excited and then you don't know what could happen at any moment. Right. Leading up to filming, to the cutting room floor, to the premiere, to if your scenes got deleted. So I think that always kind of sits with you where you're scared to be too excited.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I was so sure, like with your project, y'all just had everything together. I'm telling you, maybe this sound Black women have their together, like everything. I can be on set sometimes and I have to think about like, okay, I got to wear my outfit here. I got to do this. And I write it out. I'll break down the screens. I'll make sure I'm wearing, because I don't want anybody on Tubi to make fun of me. Like, wait, why was she wearing that outfit at the beginning and the end and her hair is parted this way? But on your set, I didn't have to worry. I was able to just act and be. And that is the best feeling. No offense to other things, but that was the best feeling.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think that's our nature as Black women, period. I mean, our ancestors that were here, that came from Africa, because if you got any melatonin, you from Africa. So our ancestors that came from Africa, that's just what we know how to do. We know how to take care of people. We know how you make, because when we came here, we were different tribes from different parts of Africa that didn't speak the same language, but you couldn't tell us that we were not family. And that's how we treat outsiders. That's how we treated the masters' peoples, our peoples in our same circles. So that's just, I love Tasha Smith when she says that she can finally be on set as a director and she can be loud, she can yell, because she can be accepted as a Black woman. Mm. I remember starting this again as a PA on one of the court shows. I was looked as the Black girl, the one Black girl with a whole crew of like 500 people. And I was that Black girl. But when you climb the ladder and you get more confidence in yourself and who you are, it doesn't matter if you're that one speck. I am who I am, and I'm proud of it. And I'm presenting me, and I'm giving you me and all my greatness. Sometimes we have to get to that point where you're like, this is me. Black, white, whatever you want to call me, this is me.
Right.
Yeah.
My first PA job, I was referenced to as colored by one of the reality show stars' mother. And I was
still say that.
I was like, this person has to be older because
they were older. No, I'll tell you specifically. I won't say what it is. I'm not trying to be blacklisted, but I was a production assistant I just wanted to be in the industry of somehow, because I was in LA. I wasn't really booking a lot. I'm like, all right, let's give PAing aside, a try. And so they had me pick up the people for this reality show. They were having like a wedding, so I picked up the mother, and then I dropped her off. She was like, oh, what a nice little colored girl.
Oh, wow.
This was in like 2012. I just couldn't even believe it. But as a PA, I'm like, what do I say? I was the only Black person in the crew. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to lose my job. And I'm just like,
right.
Thank you. I feel you.
Did the daughter say anything?
I didn't tell anybody, but they did treat me. The daughter, now that I know, is racist too. Like there's another instance, and if anybody sees this, they're probably gonna be able to figure it out, but I don't care. But at least I didn't say what it was.
Yeah.
But like it was a dead bat in their driveway, right? It's other production assistants. Why? And men too, right? And they're calling me like, oh, get the bat. Brittany, come get the bat and take it to the pet store up the street to see, the vet to see if they could save its life. Like just like little things like that where I was just kind of like the go fetch person. And I'm like, oh my God. And I know as a production assistant, there's a lot of crazy tasks, but just me being Black just made some of those tasks just seem weird. And me being referenced by the main character's mother as colored, the little colored girl,
Right.
So we need more minority people in production.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, sure. This is our safe space. This is our sister girlhood that we're building to lift up those. There's so many of us that don't say anything, that I've been called names. I've been called a monkey. Like there's a list of things. And so I think we can, where our voices with these platforms, we can voice in a tasteful way how we feel. But
and the change is you have that power, and like Tequoia, when you are leading a set, there would be no way any of your production assistants would have been disrespected in that regards. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what needs to change. Like, I was afraid to say anything because I know nobody would have done anything, So, and then when I'm in that position, even as an actor, I try my best, like say hi or talk to and make everybody feel acknowledged because I know how it felt to be like disregarded, So.
Well,
and too, because I feel like no matter what level you're at, that still won't be enough for some people. It's actually just reminding me now, granted, this wasn't backed by any big production. This was the web series that my friends and I were putting on. But I, produced the whole thing myself. The people we brought in, I'm the one who I was casting director, producer, location scout, all of that. And 2 of the cast members, one of them being my friend, quote unquote, had the gall to call me the help to my face. Yeah. And I'm like, one of them is a hired worker that I hired. So I'm like,
wow, the audacity.
Right.
But see, I bet you won't work with that person again. And they, and that's why it could be some really talented people. We see them no more. Why? Because attitude holds so much weight. Like,
yeah.
One more time for those in the back. Attitude is everything. Women being a color, you better have a good attitude, or they definitely not gonna call you back. And we're gonna tell everybody on all the network about your attitude, so you won't work on this set again. So you better have a good attitude. Like what?
Who wants
being
to be around
good
jerks?
Goes a long way.
You don't want to be around jerks for 12 to 16 hours a day. And I learned that too. I've seen actors lose their jobs, like working behind the scenes, and really mess their money up because of their attitude. And it's not typically the really talented actors. That from the most part, what I've seen, they're typically humble, and that's probably how they got to where they are. It's people that have some kind of notion that that's how you're supposed to act, like that some type of facade. And no, it's not. You're going to get fired, and it's easy to replace you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we got 5 minutes, so we're going to wrap this up.
I'm having so much fun.
Yeah.
I know. This is a good conversation.
It's a great conversation. I feel like we can go another hour. Like a venting section.
But this is your opportunity to let the audience know what projects you have coming up, what they can look out for, where they can find your films to see more about your talent. So there.
Well, since you brought me here, I'm going to promote one, and that is Lawrence Chimere, which I had the honor of being in. And gosh, I don't even want to give it away. We have a video online. You can see it on my website, BrittanyMayti.com. I have it right at the top where it says coming soon. It's a link. We have an Indiegogo campaign. It's an artistic activism piece, and the first one that I've been able to do, where we can really make change through activism and art. And they're missing women, particularly women of color, and people are just throwing it under the rug. You don't see it on CNN. You don't see it on social media. There's no large hashtags that are flowing over. And this, I believe, this will help us make a change. So thank you, Tequoia. What is the website for it? The direct website? I don't know the website for the people.
What?
The direct website for Lauren's Chimera.
Well, they can go to the IG page, Chimera the film, and then they can click on the link in the bio. Yeah.
That's all I'm going to promote this time.
What? What?
What is your IG, Brittany? Where can everyone find you and follow you and get your updates?
It's at Brittany Mayti on all platforms. That's BritTanyMayti and BrittanyMayti.com.
Awesome.
Wow. Well, we're so excited. We thank you so much. This was a great conversation.
Yes.
First guest.
Nourishing, empowering, all of that.
Well, thank you for having me. Was I supposed to have my background on here?
No, you're
okay.
fine.
No, you're good.
I like the blue. The blue background works.
It does. You're fine.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Brittany. You have a very great and blessed day.
You too. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, Brittany, we thank her so much. This is what Slates and Koffee is all about. It's about nourishing, educating, and empowering. Nourishing, getting fed. Educating and empowering, getting more powerful than you were just 5 minutes ago. This is for us. This is for you guys. Our gift to you, our gift embedded in us and our purpose. And we just hope that healing comes from this and knowledge. You don't have to be afraid. You don't have to go into a turtle shell. You don't have to quit. Do not quit. Quit. Just keep busting those doors down. If they just don't open, you just make your own doors or go through the window.
Find an end. That's important.
Yeah.
Find someone to inspire you to keep going.
Yeah.
And have a good community around you at all times.
Yes. So again, this is Slates. I got to get a slate. This is Slates and Koffee. Take care of yourselves. We love y'all. Bye.